On the morning of October 6, 2011, a 911 operator in Milwaukee received a frantic call from a woman claiming she had just given birth and that the baby wasn't breathing. The paramedics were rushed to the scene, but upon arrival they sensed something was terribly wrong. The infant lay lifeless, and despite their best efforts, the baby was pronounced dead. As the tiny body was taken in for autopsy, what the medical examiner uncovered sent shockwaves through the team. The baby still bore traces of ovarian tissue attached to the uterus and placenta, an undeniable sign that this child hadn't been born naturally. In that chilling moment, the grim reality began to dawn on everyone. This was no ordinary emergency. A horrifying crime had taken place. With this revelation, the police raced back to the caller's residence. The truth was too horrifying to ignore. The woman who had made that call was swiftly taken into custody as the full scope of the nightmare began to unfold. Hey everyone. Welcome to the Whispered Mystery Channel. On the morning of October 6, 2011, a young pregnant woman stood outside a community health center. She was completely unaware that her life was on the brink of a terrifying descent. As she waited, looking for a ride to a nearby medical store, a woman appeared, offering her a ride. Her demeanor friendly. Her offer seemingly harmless. A simple gesture of kindness, or so it seemed. With a trusting smile, the expectant mother accepted the ride, stepping into the vehicle without hesitation. Little did she know this would be her final act of trust. She had just entered the car of a killer, the very person who would soon end her life. What began as an ordinary day filled with hope and the promise of a new life would tragically end in unimaginable horror. Join us as we delve into a heartbreaking and chilling case that shook Milwaukee and reverberated across the nation. This is the tragic story of Maritza Ramirez Cruz, a devoted mother of three, whose dreams and the dreams of her family were cruelly shattered by a seemingly kind stranger with sinister intentions. Maritza was just 23 years old, a young mother with a bright smile and a loving family. Maritza Ramirez Cruz and her husband Christian Mercado were eagerly awaiting the birth of her fourth child. On the fateful day, Annette Morales Rodriguez was driving through a neighborhood community health center in Milwaukee. She spotted Maritza Ramirez Cruz at the community center, probably waiting for a ride to get somewhere. Annette noticed that Maritza was clearly in the final weeks of her pregnancy and possibly in need of a ride. Pretending to be a kind stranger, Annette approached Maritza, offering her assistance. Maritza mentioned she needed to visit a nearby medical store, and Annette readily agreed to give her a ride. As they drove, what appeared to be an innocent favor took a sinister turn. Instead of heading to the store, Annette redirected the car to her own home, pretending that she needed to change her shoes. But beneath the surface, panic was already setting in. Annette wasn't just battling nerves, she was grappling with the horrifying reality of the bloody path she had set herself on. On arriving at the house of Annette, at first Maritza chose to stay alone in the car. Annette stepped inside her house, questioning herself if she should go through with her twisted plan. But fate took a cruel twist. Annette was still confused if she should go ahead with her horrific act. She simply stood inside her home in a state of confusion. Maritza just then entered the house. Maritza came in asking if she could use the bathroom. This simple request sealed Maritza's fate forever. Annette's hesitation gave way to cold resolve. Her prey had just walked willingly into the lion's den. In that instant, Annette made a chilling decision. Her heart hardened. Her mind set. Maritza was not just another passerby, she was the chosen one, the victim Annette had been seeking. a twisted plan began to take shape. Morales Rodriguez decided to attack and grab Maritza's baby as her own. She waited for the girl to come out of the bathroom. Once the victim was out, Annette started hitting her with a baseball bat. She hits her twice in the head. Morales Rodriguez continued beating her until Ramirez Cruz's eyeglasses broke. But Maritza was a very strong person. When that fails, Maritza resorts to strangulation. The struggle is brutal, and Maritza, tragically, is overpowered. Annette described during interrogation how she choked Ramirez Cruz until she passed out. She then put duct tape over her victim's eyes and nose, finally wrapping a plastic bag around the victim's head, waiting for the victim to pass out. All the while, Maritza was bleeding heavily. In a moment of sheer desperation and madness, Annette tries to perform a crude cesarean section on Maritza using an X-Acto knife. Annette cruelly cut open the victim from one hip to the other with the X-Acto knife and pulled out the stillborn baby. She performed the whole gruesome act based on a cesarean section documentary she had seen on the Discovery Channel. When Annette cut open Maritza, the amniotic fluid came out of Maritza's stomach. And when Annette took the baby out of the victim, the baby was not breathing. Annette then mercilessly cut the placenta out. When scripting this part, I had to stop for a while, unable to even write further, thinking about the pain and struggle Maritza had to go through. When we cannot bear the pain of a cut with a simple blade, I just cannot imagine the trauma Maritza would have endured. Annette then dragged Maritza into the basement and concealed her body by the hot water heater. She then changed her bloody clothes and began cleaning the blood in the house. Annette wanted people to believe she was bleeding from birth. So she took some of Maritza Ramirez Cruz's blood and put it on her own thighs and vagina. After the horrific act, Annette calls 911, telling the operator that she's given birth and that the baby isn't breathing. When the paramedics arrive on scene, they quickly realize something is terribly wrong. Police officer Jessica Cannon was sent to meet with the caller. When the police officer met with Annette, she stated she had just given birth to a child in the shower, and that the baby wasn't breathing. Following this, both Annette and the placenta were sent to St. Francis Hospital. At the hospital, Annette told the detective that she wasn't aware that she was pregnant and gave birth to the baby in the shower. She denied any medical treatment and she was left to go home. The paramedics who attended to the caller were suspicious of the whole story. They did not believe Annette, since they understood that the baby wasn't born naturally. However, the police hadn't suspected Annette at first, believing in her story. On October 7, 2011, the medical examiners confirmed the suspicions of the paramedics, that the baby wasn't born naturally, and swiftly informed the police. The police officers rushed back to Annette's residence and took Annette into custody immediately. Annette Morales Rodriguez, a 33-year-old woman to her neighbors, seemed like just another woman living her life. But inside, Annette was battling deep emotional and psychological issues. She was so desperate to keep her boyfriend by her side. She had faked 2 previous pregnancies, each time claiming she miscarried. She eventually faked a 3rd pregnancy. Annette, who had been faking pregnancies for months, was growing increasingly desperate. Morales Rodriguez, unable to conceive a child herself, began planning to find a pregnant woman to abduct and kill in order to steal the fetus. The truth unraveled quickly. Annette confessed to her crime and detailed the gruesome act as it was videotaped by the police. However, what the murderer claimed shocked everyone. During the trial, Annette claimed to have been diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder, or DID. Let us understand what this DID is in detail. DID is a condition where a person's identity is fragmented into distinct personalities, or what we all commonly refer to as multiple personality disorder. DID is a complex psychological condition where a person's identity fragments into two or more distinct personalities or alters. These alters can have their own names, ages, memories, and behaviors. DID often stems from severe trauma experienced during early childhood, usually extreme repetitive abuse. The disorder serves as a coping mechanism, allowing the person to dissociate themselves from a reality too painful to endure. Each personality may take control of the individual's behavior at different times, leading to gaps in memory and a sense of lost time. According to Annette, one of Annette's split identities, known as Lara, reportedly took over during the murder and performed the whole act. If you found our content insightful, I'd really appreciate it if you could take a second to hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when we upload new videos. And don't forget to click the notification bell next to it. That way you won't miss out on any of the suspenseful content we have coming up. Your support means the world to us. It helps the channel grow, so thank you for being part of this community. Let's continue. During the interrogation, Annette describes Lara as 18 years old. Mean and angry individual. She also stated that Lara wants to take revenge on all the men who hurt her. This raised complex questions about her mental state and accountability. I leave it to you, my loyal subscribers, to decide if Annette was faking a DID scenario to escape the clutches of the law, or was she truly under the effects of DID? Justice was served to Maritza's family. Annette was charged with 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide, one for Maritza and one for her unborn baby. The entire community was left in shock and mourning. Maritza's family was left devastated by her loss. They not only lost a daughter, wife, and mother, but they also lost a future filled with joy and new beginnings. The community came together to honor Maritza and her unborn child, remembering them as innocent victims of a tragedy that should never have happened. If you have theories, insights, or cases you want us to cover, drop a comment below. We love hearing from you. Remember, the truth is out there, and sometimes it's closer than you think. Stay safe, and until next time, keep your eyes open and your mind sharp. See you in the next investigation.